Hello, and welcome to Father and Son Star Wars Podcast. I'm Keith, and this is my dad, Curly.
Thank you for joining us once again. This time, we're actually going to review two episodes.
Episodes 8 and 9.
Right.
Reunion and Bounty Lost.
Right. We're going to start with Reunion. As a matter of fact, they actually seem like
they're like
episodes,
interconnected. It seems like a two-parter.
Exactly. Okay.
So it just made sense to do them both as a two-parter episode instead of doing them individually.
Right. Okay. So let's get into episode 8 called Reunion. All right. So where we last left the Bad Batch, they're on Braca. And the first question I have is, why are they still on Braca? You know, they're being followed. But anyway, Hunter has the idea that there are some valuables that they can grab from the Jedi cruiser that they can take to earn credits.
Right. And then give them to Sid. Because it was mentioned in episode 7 that, they've been buying a lot of stuff and just charging it to Sid's tab.
Right. Yeah.
So if they take these supplies and give them straight to Sid, then that way they can pay off their debt too.
They'll be squared, right? So they'll cover all that Mantel mix they've been eating, right?
Right.
Right. Okay. All right. However, while they're doing this, the Empire has landed.
Right. And here's the best part. We get to see a second look at Crosshair.
Crosshair is back.
Yeah, we haven't seen him since episode 3.
That's correct. Right. And he's got the Bad Batch surrounded. He came with a bunch of he came with a clone army.
Right. Remember that group of clones he was leading in episode 3? Well, not all of them, but 3 out of the 4 are back.
That's correct.
And he brought this entire army of clone troopers to just surround the Bad Batch.
Exactly. So now the Bad Batch needed to find creative ways to escape. All right. And we can't even serve it purpose to explain exactly what happened because it was just so beautiful. But anyway, they managed to escape. Hunter and Omega managed to make it back to the hangar where the ship is located.
Right. And then they see all these clones just lying on the ground.
There's a couple of clones lying on the ground.
Right. Hunter realizes that this wasn't the work of the Scrapper Guild or anyone else. And guess who we get a look at? It just so happens to be Cad Bane.
Cad Bane.
Right. He previously appeared in the Clone Wars and he was trying to steal a holocron from the Jedi.
All right.
Of course, Ahsoka and Anakin stopped him.
Right. Actually. Okay. Cad Bane is a bounty hunter.
Right.
And he is coming after Omega. And this sets up my favorite scene in this episode.
Yeah.
Where it felt like a Western. It was Cad Bane versus Hunter. I was mentioning the prior episode, that there was a scene that felt like the Terminator. This time around, it felt like a Sergio Leone movie. I know you don't know about these movies. You haven't seen them yet, but a Western in particular called Once Upon a Time in the West, where there is a man in black and he's got the black hat on. He's the bad guy versus the good guy. So now we have Hunter and Cad Bane, and the music that is being played
sounds like a Western.
It sounds like the Ennio Morricone score, the composer who wrote the score for that Western, that Sergio Leone Western. So big ups to Kevin Kiner, who is the composer for the Bad Batch. The score was wonderful.
Right. It really did sound like a Western movie.
Exactly. So now we had to see who's going to draw first. Unfortunately, Cad Bane was the one who drew first.
Hunter's shot just goes flying. It hits Kodo 360. Cad Bane's droid.
Right.
It just knocks off his leg.
Right. And, the droid is injured, but Hunter is also injured. And that gives the opportunity, Bane the opportunity to actually stun Omega and kidnap her and then take her back to the ship.
Right.
When Hunter wakes up, he's back on the Bat ship. And they realize that Omega's gone, And now Hunter is determined to find this bounty hunter who took Omega.
Right, and this is where episode 8 ends and episode 9 begins.
All right, now we're going on to episode 9 called
Bounty Lost.
Bounty Lost. All right. So again, picking up from where episode 8 left off, the Batch is trying to find this bounty hunter, but they got
got ambushed by Crosshair.
Right, Crosshair is right behind them, trying to shoot him out of the sky. And Tech says, we got to jump into hyperspace. We got to get away from Crosshair. So they jump into hyperspace. All right. Then the next scene is there's a meeting going on Kamino.
It's Lama Su, Ton Lee, and Nala Se.
Thank you very much.
Sounds like a lot of tongue-tied twisters.
Right. So I'm going to say it's just so I can say that, hey, I said it myself. So Lama Su, Nala Se, and Ton Wee.
You got it right.
Yeah, see, there you go.
Hey, that's the first.
We were practicing.
That's the first time for everything.
We were practicing these names. All right, so they're having a meeting, and they are aware that Bane has found Omega, and Lama Su sends Ton Wee on a mission to actually meet Cad Bane on the planet Borovio, an old Kaminoan facility, to meet up with Bane to give him the cash, the reward, in exchange for Omega.
Credits that he earned.
Right.
In exchange for getting Omega.
Exactly.
And what they're gonna do is they're gonna get like a hair sample or something from Omega
DNA,
to use her DNA.
Right.
Right.
And once they get whatever they need from Omega, the DNA, the plans are to terminate Omega, unfortunately. Now, when Nala Se heard that, she was not happy.
Yeah, she was just like,
right. She was not happy to hear that. So meanwhile, back on Bane's ship, Omega is still held captive, and she's being watched by Toto. And he's trying to repair his leg that was injured from the last episode, and she offers to help the droid repair his leg if he lets her out.
Right. So of course Toto lets her out, and Omega fixes his leg as promised, and then right afterwards just shuts the door down and then makes a break for it.
Right. Exactly. That was very smart of her. So that was her way of escaping. So now Bane's ship has landed on Borovio, and he's looking around for Toto and has no idea where he is. He's not answering, and he finds Toto. He's deactivated. He's powered off. He restores the power, and Toto realizes that Omega is gone. But Bane finds her. He puts her in shackles and carries her back to the hull of the ship. But then he hears a blast of fire. Right.
And guess who it is?
Right.
Fennec Shand.
She's back
again. She was in, if I'm not mistaken, the 4th episode of TheBadBatch.
That's right. Yeah, exactly. That's right. Now, unfortunately, Ton Wee arrived on the planet, but Fennec Shand found her first and knocked her out. And she is they find her lying on the ground, and Fennec Shand is holding the credits.
Right. The credits that were supposed to go to Cad Bane.
To Cad Bane, right. Now,
so that's what happens when you hire too many bounty hunters. They're bound to fight each other at some point.
Well, according to Fennec Shand, she felt that the money belonged to her because she was on the mission first.
Right.
Although she wasn't able to find Omega. So, they're staring each other down, Bane and Fennec Shand, and they make an exchange. Fennec Shand said, okay, well, I'll give you the money in exchange for Omega. Great, but then Toto comes up from behind and grabs the case. Right, and then the shootout takes place between Bane and Fennec Shand.
Right.
And Bane ignites the detonator and he throws it.
Fennec Shand just knocks it away from her.
Right.
It hits Toto, who actually used the briefcase to shield them.
Correct.
He goes flying out the window,
and it destroys the case, and all the credits just fall out.
Right.
So now the money's gone. All right. And meanwhile, Omega escapes, and she was able to find a computer where she can control a satellite dish.
So she turns on the satellite dish and sends out a signal to the TheBadBatch so that they can find her.
Exactly. Right. And they get the signal and they speed off trying to find her.
Right.
Meanwhile, back on the planet, now Bane and Fennec Shand are in this hand-to-hand combat.
Right.
They're very good fighters. Yeah, exactly. And here's again my favorite scene, in this episode was when Fennec Shand knocked Bane over the ledge and he's in a free fall. And then all of a sudden he ignites his rocket boots and he shoots himself back up and he falls backwards onto the ledge. And I thought it was pretty cool. I'm probably not describing it the best way, but if you see it for yourself, it was a pretty cool sight to see.
Yeah. I would have thought he'd just fall.
Yeah, right. But rocket boots. We gotta get ourselves a pair, What do you think? Rocket boots.
Well, that'd make it easier to get to Wawa.
It would make it easy to get to anywhere. That's pretty cool. That's right. That's pretty good. Now, all right. So the Cad Bane,
Right.
he's out of traction for now. And Fennec Shand goes after Omega. Omega stumbles onto a facility. It looks like a cloning facility. There used to be a cloning facility.
It's abandoned.
And it's abandoned. And if you look inside the tubes, I thought it looked like a Kaminoan.
Yeah, like one of the specimens inside the chamber looked like it was a Kaminoan with a long neck, like a giraffe.
Exactly.
And long hands.
So are the Kaminoans cloning themselves? That's pretty interesting. We don't know.
Why would they do that?
I don't know. Maybe we'll find out. But it was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Fennec Shand finds Omega and tries to convince her to come with her, but Omega's been in this situation before and she didn't trust Fennec Shand in the past and she's not going to trust her now. Omega escapes. She finds a pod, an escape pod.
She finds a flight pod. And gets into it.
Right.
Unfortunately, either the pod was in charge or its engines aren't working because the ship's engines stop responding and Omega just starts free falling.
Yes.
Like down, 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 down.
Right. And what is Omega going to do? But unfortunately, the Bad Batch catches her just in time. They grab the pod, they bring her up to the ship and she's saved. They take off.
Right.
Bane gets up and he realizes that, she's gone and he gets into his ship and then realizes he can't because it's been sabotaged by Fennec Shand.
Yeah.
Right. So he's stuck. However, Fennec Shand just jumped in her ship and she's gone.
Yep.
And she reaches out to her contact,
which happens to be Nala Se. Now, I don't know if Turnwee knew about this, or not Turnwee, Lama Su knew about this or not. Like they're all they just sound the same.
Yeah, I know they're very hard names to say.
I don't know why. I don't know why Lucasfilm did that.
Well, it's just to help with our vocabulary, I guess.
They're trying to twist our tongues.
Yeah, right. It's a tongue twister.
But yes, the contact happens to be Nala Se.
Right.
And I don't know if Lama Su knew about this, but Nala Se says to Fennec Shand that Fennec Shand will, of course, receive her payment, but she doesn't have to track Omega anymore because as long as she never comes back to Kamino, she's safe. So, I don't know if we'll see Fennec Shand again. But
I have a
feeling. Like the outro.
Nah, I don't know. I think we'll see her again. But basically, Nala Se is very happy that Omega is still alive because she is concerned about Omega's safety.
Right.
And if she were to come back to Kamino, if Lama Su would know that, would find out if she's back, then she'd be in a lot of trouble. So it's good that she stays far away from Kamino as possible.
Right.
Now, the final scene in the episode is with Hunter and Omega, and Hunter at this point has already explained to Omega why the Kaminoans are looking for her, and Omega said, I cannot go back to Kamino.
I just don't
go back.
Want
I just don't want to go back. And Hunter makes a promise to her that she will never return to Kamino.
Right. And that is how we end episode 9.
Exactly. And that's how we end the episode. Now, I wanted to go over something, and I wrote it down because I wanted to make sure I got it right. Tech was explaining, had an explanation regarding Omega's genetic profile.
Right.
So when he was talking to the Bad Batch, he said,
I further analyzed Omega's genetic profile and discovered she has pure first-generation DNA.
Whoa. Wait, what does that mean?
All clones were created from a host named Jango Fett. While our genetic structure was modified for growth acceleration and obedience, Omega is a pure genetic replication.
How many clones like that exist?
To my knowledge, there's only one other. a male clone, codenamed Alpha, later referred to as Boba. Since he disappeared at the start of the war, that makes Omega the sole living source of Fett's raw genetic material.
Right. Because since Boba Fett disappeared, Omega is the only confirmed living source of original DNA from Jango Fett.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, here's what I what Tech was saying was pretty good, but I don't think he was quite accurate.
It's got a stumped here.
Yeah, because
Omega is a girl, but Jango Fett is a boy. So in order to change the gender of Omega, I think they would have either had to alter the DNA that they were given from Jango Fett, or it was just like a manufacturing error, like an accidental mishap.
That's a good point, because if Jango and Omega's DNA are exactly the same, then why aren't the Kaminoans going after Jango? I'm sorry, Boba. Let me say that again. So if Boba and Omega's DNA are exactly the same, why aren't the Kaminoans going after Boba Fett?
Right.
Right.
Because, Boba is the exact same DNA. Bounty hunters could find him pretty easily.
Right.
But they haven't tracked him. So there must be something they did to Omega that they can't find any other clones.
Right. I think
she's a unique, one-of-a-kind clone. So maybe Tech's information was bad?
Well, maybe he doesn't understand all the information. He's just gone by, the information that he has in front of him, but he may not understand everything. But it makes sense to me that there's something special about Omega that Boba does not have, or else they would be going after Boba, but they want Omega. And it goes back to what I said from the very beginning. I think she is still Force sensitive.
Right.
So her
Why
DNA,
else would they want, respectively, her DNA?
So it's possible.
And not basically just any other clone's DNA sample.
Right. And it's possible that her DNA could have been mixed with the DNA of a Force sensitive person.
Right.
Which we don't know. That's a very good point. All right. So, just something to think about. So what do you think? Why do you think the Kaminoans are after Omega's DNA and not Boba Fett's DNA?
Right. Let us know on our Facebook page. We're under Father and Son, an SW podcast. And you could also check us out on Instagram. Search for K2 Yard Podcast, all lowercase and no spaces. If you'd like to all our listeners, we also have a YouTube page where we'll upload episodes, hopefully weekly, though sometimes we might not do it weekly. And to all our viewers, you can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Radio Public, Audible, Amazon Music, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Wow. Okay. And once again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you know anybody who's a Star Wars fan who'd be interested, spread the word, tell your friends, family, everyone.
Our next goal is 100 subscribers.
Right. And we're actually
hopefully we can get there. We're climbing up there.
How about that? Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right.
Right.
All right. Is that it? I think that's it for now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in. We will, be back to talk about the Bad Batch, and don't forget we're also doing our Heroes and Villains series. So please look out for our next episode on that. All right. Until then, take care. We'll see you again.